Have you ever wondered why some art, some music, some piece of writing just hits you, moves you to tears even, while most of what's out there is just noise? Where does that profound, soul-stirring greatness actually come from? Well, you might think that's a pretty modern question, but today we're going to dive into an answer that's been waiting for us for almost 2,000 years. So our journey kicks off with this quote, and get this, it's from the 1st century AD, but it could have been written this morning. A Roman critic, a guy named Longinus, he looked at the world around him, and he saw people who were just completely obsessed with money and with fleeting pleasures. And for him, this wasn't just some minor character flaw. He believed it was literally poisoning the well of human creativity and greatness. Longinus actually wrote a whole book about this called On the Sublime, and it was basically one big lament. He was looking around at his own time and asking, hey, where have all the real geniuses gone? Why aren't we producing the kind of art that just floors you, the kind of stuff our ancestors made? He had a theory, and it was a pretty powerful one. For Longinus, the diagnosis was simple. It was all about a shift in focus. He argued that people had become so fixated on their mortal, physical lives, on things that break and rust and eventually just disappear, that they were totally neglecting the one thing he thought was the source of all true greatness, their immortal souls. And this slide really breaks down that clash of priorities he saw. On one side, you've got everything connected to the immortal soul, the permanent, the selfless. And on the other, you've got the perishable body, just chasing after temporary, self-interested things. Longinus was convinced his society had picked the wrong column, and genius itself was paying the price. So if that's the problem, what in the world is the solution? So Longinus gave us the problem, right? Well, a couple of centuries later, a philosopher named Plotinus comes along and offers this incredibly detailed answer. He didn't just agree that we should look upwards. No, he went way further. He drew a complete map of all reality to show us exactly where to look and how to find our way back. The system he came up with is called Neo-Platonism, and really all you need to know is this. It takes Plato's incredible ideas about a higher world and organizes them into this grand unified hierarchy. It's a system designed to explain how our physical world gets all of its meaning, its order, and, you guessed it, its beauty from a higher, more perfect spiritual reality. So what does this map of all reality actually look like? Well, let's build it, right here, right now. We're going to build his universe from the ground up, using some cool, glossy 3D layers so we can really see how Plotinus pictured the entire cosmos. All right, so at the very bottom of the map, we've got the world that Plotinus simply called here. This is us. This is our reality, the physical sensory world that's all about time, change, and decay. In his grand scheme of things, this is the lowest, least perfect level of existence. Now we take one step up, and we get to the all-soul. Think of this like the universe's operating system. It takes all the chaotic raw material of here and gives it structure, form, and order. And this is the crucial part. Plotinus believed this is the realm that our own individual souls are a part of. Okay, above the all-soul, things get even more interesting. We reach the divine mind. And if that sounds a little familiar, it should. This is basically Plotinus's version of Plato's famous world of forms. It's a purely intellectual place, and it's home to the perfect eternal blueprints, the archetypes, for everything that has ever existed or could ever exist down in our physical world. And at the very, very top, the apex, the source of everything, is the One. Now, this isn't a god in the way we usually think of one. It's a perfect, transcendent, almost unknowable unity. It is the absolute good, the origin point from which all those other layers of reality emanate or flow outwards, kind of like light from a single brilliant star. Okay, so our map of reality is built. So what? What does this actually mean for us, the people living down here on the bottom layer? What is life really like in this world of matter? Well, according to Plotinus, life here is always by its very nature going to be partial. It's fragmented. Our knowledge isn't some complete unified wisdom. He put it perfectly. He said it's just a mass of theorems and an accumulation of propositions. It's a jumble of separate facts that we're constantly struggling to piece together into something that makes sense. So if our world is all about fragmentation and bits and pieces, what's the alternative? This is where Plotinus simplified things beautifully. He took that entire higher spiritual reality, the divine mind, the all-soul, the whole shebang, and gave it one simple name: there. Now this slide, this is the key to the entire system. Here, our world is defined by being partial, by multiplicity, by constant change in time and space. But there, the higher world, is a place of complete unity, total permanence, and eternity. The wisdom there isn't learned over time, it exists, complete and whole, from the very beginning. And this, finally, brings us to the big payoff. How does this giant cosmic map solve Longinus's problem from the beginning? How does it explain where real, sublime beauty and greatness come from? The answer is all about the relationship between here and there. And here it is, the big revelation from Plotinus. Beauty doesn't actually exist in physical things. A beautiful statue isn't beautiful because of the marble it's made from. No. True beauty, the real deal, belongs to the ideal realm of there. It's a pure idea. And that statue we admire is just a flawed physical echo of it. So creation isn't building something from scratch. It's more like a cascade. It's a process of emanation, where beauty flows downward from its source. It starts in the One. It exists as a perfect archetype in the divine mind. It's then received by the All-Soul. And finally, it's used by what Plotinus calls the nature principle to shape matter into the beautiful forms we see in our world. And that is the huge takeaway here. The reason we recognize a sunset or a piece of music as beautiful is because our own souls, which are part of that all-soul realm, recognize the object's connection to the perfect eternal idea of beauty. The physical thing is just a shadow, and our soul recognizes the light source that it's reflecting. So that leaves us with one final big thought. If Longinus was right that we lose greatness when we only look at the material world, and if Plotinus was right that true beauty is actually an idea from a higher, more perfect world, what does that change for us? How does that affect the kind of art we create, and maybe even more importantly, the kind of lives we choose to live?